So this video will be adding on to our initial drawing that you see below. So all these steps should be completed. And a couple things you'll need for this assignment is going to be your handout. We'll be referencing this page right here, which says 1 point perspective room. These are the things we're going to be putting on the tracing paper. So I have my tracing paper roll. This is an 18-inch roll of tracing paper. I also have my pencil. In this case, I'm using mechanical pencil. You can use an F or an HB. You'll need some scissors, artist tape. You may also want to have your Tough Stuff eraser. You'll need your white charcoal, and then also a T-square. In addition to the T-square, having a ruler may be handy, but is optional. Begin by rolling out your tracing paper to fit the size of the paper, and then cut your tracing paper so that it matches up. After I have my tracing paper cut, you're gonna notice it's spiraling inwards. So you'll wanna turn your tracing paper upside down so that it doesn't spiral on you. I'm gonna take my tracing paper and just slide it up so you can see the bottom down here. I'm gonna slide it up so it's about 3/4 of an inch higher. And then you're gonna turn your paper over. This is now the top on the back side. Center up your drawing. You're gonna take this edge and you're gonna fold it over, and that's what you need the artist tape for. So we're gonna go ahead and fold this over, and then take a few pieces of tape and tape the back. Now you have your tracing paper attached. I have a little piece missing here, so if you can avoid that, that would be better, right? One thing I'm going to do is cut this to size to make a great presentation. So I'm going to leave it facing upside down, and I'm going to cut this. And then also cut this edge. For this one, I'll be turning it this way since I'm right-handed. Now that your tracing paper is attached and cut to size, we're ready to begin. When you're done with the tracing paper, I typically put a piece of tape on there so that it doesn't unravel. So step number 1 is now completed. The next step will be to draw your 3 windows. You're gonna need to have one window that goes above eye level to below eye level. So let's do that one first. You can already see here how we have the tiling of the wall. This is just the tracing paper on top, so nothing's on this yet. What I'll do is make sure I line up my ruler. And again, you can use your T-square upside down. I'm gonna use my ruler to line up and do a window that goes from above eye level to below eye level. So you'll just match up on a line that you already have. Oops. So far we just have a line. Okay. And then since we're going below eye level, all you want to do is make sure that you're not touching the corners. So you don't want to touch the back wall, this corner, the bottom corner, or the front. I'm going to make this particular window 3 rows wide. There's no line weight variation. You just want to make sure that you're using a ruler or a T-square. And then we're going to connect. We've now drawn a window that is above eye level to below eye level. One window must be completely above your horizon line. When I say eye level, that's your horizon line. Now you have a window that is completely above. You're also going to need a window that goes at the horizon line and below. That one should be straight on the horizon line. Now you're ready to move to step 3. Step 3 needs to be completed in the 4 left and the 4 right rows of your drawing. Right now, there's nothing on my drawing other than the 3 windows. We'll be referencing the tiles underneath to build this. First thing I'm going to do is outline the base. If I need to stay in the first 4 rows on the left side, I'm going to make sure that I don't extend past this row. So my first box is going to be 2 rows wide. and I'm outlining the base. So now I have outlined the bottom of my cube using the tile that's underneath. From there, I'll need to use my T-square, hook on the bottom, and move straight up. You should not attach it to the tracing paper like this. You'll want to always hook it from the bottom of the paper. I'm going to line it up with the first corner. All 4 corners will go up. There's no exact measurement for this. I just brought all 4 lines up. I'll determine how high I want this to be, but one thing you want to keep in mind is not to go higher than the horizon line or touching the horizon line. Stay about halfway from the bottom of the picture plane to your horizon line. From here, I need to figure out this area here, which is the front of the cube. To do that, I'll be sliding my T-square over, hooking it on my left side since I'm right-handed, and then I'm going to hook that on the edge of the paper, which is why it's important to cut down your tracing paper. From there, I'm just going to connect my 2 lines like that. This is representing the front part of my cube. Right now, we're drawing a cube that's see-through. The next step will be to get my angles. I have my diagonals on the bottom, but I also need to get them on the top. For this step, you'll be using your ruler or your T-square upside down. What you're going to be doing is connecting a line that goes from here all the way to that vanishing point. So just so you understand what we're doing, I've blocked out the tile underneath, but I can still see my vanishing point. I'm going to line up this corner to that vanishing point and only draw that line in this area. If you accidentally go past like I did, make sure you erase it out. We're going to do the same thing for this corner right here. We'll be connecting this corner to the same vanishing point. Then you'll need to use a T-square to go straight over. Always press down on your T-square. You've now completed a cube. However, your cube is now see-through. So we need to erase all angles that are making this see-through. Remember not to press too hard. If you press too hard when you're drawing, you won't be able to erase out these lines that I erased out. I'm going to remove this paper so you can actually see what's underneath. This is what we're seeing. So the paper just helps avoid the distractions. We now need to add a complex item on the right side. For this, I'll just be using the back side of my T-square or a ruler. And I want to map out the base, just like I did on this side here. To do this, I'm going to identify my base using my ruler. So I'll be starting here. It doesn't matter front to back where you are. You just want to make sure that you stay on the floor and that you don't touch the corners. Okay, I'm going to go here, and I went 1, 2, 3, 4 rows back. So I'll be doing the same on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, we're moving in perspective already, so you don't need the vanishing point because you've already done it. I'm also going to figure out the front of my C. I'll be doing 1 tile, skipping 1, and doing another tile. This is what I have so far. From there, I'm going to go 2 rows back on the inside. And if I go 2 rows back, I'll be doing the same on this side as well. I'll then be connecting a line over and a line over. I've now completed the base of my complex item. All I need to do from here is draw a line up from each corner and do the same at the top. So if I draw all these lines up, I will repeat the same C shape at the top. It may be confusing to you, so inserting a blank sheet of paper underneath may be helpful. Once you've inserted your paper, again, do not block your vanishing point and make sure your paper is not blocking your edge as you'll be using your T-square to line up. For every corner, you're going to go up. Now that you see I have all my verticals, I really don't want to overlap this window, so I'm going to make it fairly short. What I'll need to do is reconnect everything I see down here on the C shape, but up here using the same guidelines. So if I'm moving from this corner to this corner, I'll take those two lines and go up, and then again, I'll do a straight line over. I'll do the same for the front. Hook your T-square on the side, and then when you're covering this, again, it may be difficult, so sometimes you may want to go underneath and do it. So I've matched this line with that one and this line with this one. To get my diagonal, as this was already receding back in perspective to the vanishing point, I'll need to do the same up here. Since there's no grid for me to follow, I'll just connect this corner to my vanishing point. Turn your T-square upside down and connect. I'll do the same for this angle here, from there to there. I'll do the same from here to here. Continue to find your angles. From this corner to this corner, raise up on those two lines, this corner to this corner, but recede back into perspective to the vanishing point. I have one more diagonal to find, which is this one to this one. I'll be connecting this to my back line. If your lines aren't tall enough, you won't have an area to connect it to. Then the last part will be these two horizontals. You'll need to go across and across. For this, we'll be hooking the T-square on my left side to get my horizontals. Notice I still have my paper inserted. That way I'm not confused by all the lines underneath. I'm going to erase through here to fix my line. And then I'll just add back whatever I've erased. The next thing I'll be doing here is outlining my entire picture plane. Because in 2-point perspective, I'll be adding my initials here. I actually won't put a line here, and I'll wait to do it later. I'm gonna add my corners and my back wall. Make sure when you're doing this, you don't go through your objects. You may need to darken up objects that are lighter. I'll be darkening this up. We'll also be doing the tiles on the floor. I'm only going to stay on the left 4 and the right 4 because I'll be adding a cube in perspective in the center. I'll do the same for the right 4. You'll notice that the items you put, the lines should line up with the tile. Now we need to retrace our horizontals. Moving on to step 6, you'll need your T-square. You want to draw one cube below the horizon line to the left of the central vanishing point, outside of the picture plane. So that cube will exist over here. The cube can be any size you want. You don't want to make it too small, and you also don't want to make it too large. Because of the elevation in my T-square, I'm going to start my cube about 5 inches up. There's no particular size. Once you get your vertical, you also want to figure out your other vertical, because we're starting off with the front side of the cube. I'll then hook my T-square onto my left side to get the bottom of this cube. Again, no particular measurements, just make sure your T-square is straight. Because I can't see above my T-square without blocking the camera, I'll be going below my T-square. I now have the front facing of the cube. All these corners should connect to the central vanishing point. So that I don't have a see-through cube, I'll avoid drawing a line from this one. Only these 3 points will connect to the vanishing point. Make sure as you extend these lines, you don't go into your picture plane. You can turn your T-square upside down. Connect your central vanishing point to the first corner. Draw a line, not too far. You're going to go to the other side and you're going to draw another line. Then go to the last corner and draw your last line. You need to figure out the side and the top. In order to do this, I'll be putting my T-square on the bottom of the paper. And you can see how I have my first line. I'll just slide that over and go from this bottom to that. Then use your T-square on the side. Again, I'll go below my T-square. You can also do it above, I just can't see that. And I'm gonna match it up with this corner. Next, you'll want to draw two cubes receding back in perspective, sharing the same vanishing lines below the horizon line to the right of the central vanishing point outside of the picture plane. These two will be here. To draw these, I'll begin by adding a cube on this side, similar to how I did this one. We're now going to draw our receding lines. These lines will be slightly longer because I'm adding two cubes instead of one. From there, finish off the first cube by identifying your side and your top. I've now completed one cube. Don't erase these vanishing lines, you'll use it to create the next one. So to create the next cube, you're gonna mimic this line. Wherever you put the next line is indicating the spacing between your first cube and your second cube. This represents the spacing. I'll then use a T-square to go across. Then you'll go down. So from this corner, go down. It's representing this corner going down. The next thing you'll want to do is draw a line going in. You've now completed the front facing of your second cube. Only two more lines left. You now have two cubes receding in perspective. The next step will be to erase all the extra lines you don't need. You also need to draw one cube above the horizon line to the right of the central vanishing point outside the picture plane. To get your last cube, you'll be placing it here. This completes everything on the front side of your tracing paper. The next step will be to flip your tracing paper over. We're now on the back of the tracing paper and we'll start to do the shading. Because I'm right-handed, I'm gonna start off with anything that's in my left side first so I don't smudge as I work backwards. If you're left-handed, start with anything on the right side and work your way this way. For anything above the horizon line, you're gonna be shading the bottom of it. So I'll start with my white first. Because it's hard for you to see it, I'm gonna slide a blue piece of paper underneath so you can see the white charcoal. Now I'll be using graphite to shade the sides. Make sure when you shade, you don't do that. Shade the entire area. Avoid using black charcoal, you're just using graphite to shade this. You also don't want to press so hard that you actually rip the paper. So now this item is done. You're only doing the bottom and the side. When we get to the items that are on the bottom below the horizon line, we'll be doing the top and the side. The front facings remain blank. I'll be moving on to my windows. All three windows will be white. The top of your complex item, the top of your simple item will be white as well, and then all the sides will be dark. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the white areas of my tile. So if I start off with the white, you can also start off with the black, it doesn't really matter. It'll go white, black, but remember that the center will still be filled in. So white, black, and then we'll start back off with white. It's gonna be hard for me to figure out these back tiles because I can't tell what it lines up with. So I'm gonna flip my paper over. Now that I can see the tiles, I can at least mark which ones will be black by putting a little dot. So I know that if this is a black tile on the back side, white or black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, then I'm gonna have white, black, white, black, white. So this one will be black, that'll be white, this one will be black, white, and then that'll be black. So now I can turn it over and finish out the shading. I'll slide my paper underneath. Now that I know which ones are black, I'll know which ones are white. I'll continue on to go ahead and do the black ones. I'm also going to shade my sides here. Finish off your tiling on this side and the side of this cube. The last step will be to shade this cube. I'm going to shade the top of it white and the side of it with the graphite. I decided to keep this side of the cube slightly lighter also because it's facing the window. Let's turn it over and take a look. The 1-point perspective in your drawing is now complete. The next video will explain how to add a 2-point perspective cube in the center, finish out the tiling, and add 2-point perspective letters and finish out your back wall.